Hey, Halston, so you're in California. When do things start getting a little wacky? Right about now. Time for another episode of New Job Who Dis? Happy Monday, lover cheeses and lover squeezes. It is time for yet another sparkling edition of New Job Who Dis with me, Halston Body, your effervescent and delightful prism of excellence in the pro wrestling world. Please tune in to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Please check out the United Wrestling Network. Please, if you don't have the Fight TV app, please download it. Look up Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Look up the United Wrestling Network and make sure that on Tuesday, September 15th, you are tuning in and purchasing the live Tuesday night pay-per-view that the United Wrestling Network is going to be producing and having, and we will be on it with the Queen of Hollywood, Miss Heather Monroe. But enough about me. What do you think about me? Ha! Of course, you saw that one coming. Here's the deal, kids. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, we are back. We are smack dab in the middle of job progression. If you have not caught up, I beg of you, if this is your first episode, you're just tuning in for whatever reason, I welcome you. Please go back. Please listen. And there's a timeline to this. You've got to catch up. This is not... Yes, you can listen to this episode and get a nice taste of what this is. But however, I beg of you, please go back and listen. For those who are listening, and of course, my 10 listeners, you know who you are. The lucky 10, the top 10, you know who you are. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for continuing this journey. I know it's long-winded. I know we're giving you a lot of meat on the bone, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the deal. I've never been quick and short with anything. We are taking the long way home on this one. No, I'm kidding. I definitely need to flesh more of this out because as I talk about this, I will let you in on this. As I talk about this job progression and the things that I went through mentally and the psyche that I had and all of the, I guess, the experience that, just brings up these emotions, I'm finding myself either extending episodes like we did with the SBC Pacific Bell episode on Friday. It was part 2 of working at the phone company. There's more of that to come, trust me. And it's going to start getting a little wacky now because we are in California. To catch you up quickly, we're going to get you in. We're going to merge you in like cars on the 101 freeway. Who am I kidding? That doesn't happen. The thing is, I'm a Midwestern boy. We are in California. We are in Los Angeles after moving from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are still in a Midwestern mentality. And what I mean by that is that I'm working at the phone company. Not that phone companies shouldn't exist outside of the Midwest. However, I didn't come to California with that big Hollywood dreams and stars in my eyes and some sort of like, I'm going to be famous one day mentality. I was still in the get to work, kid, you got to pay the bills. Get that Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job and the pension and the 401k and the savings plan and I was still in that mind frame because realistically, I was choking on credit card debt, so I had to pay the bills. I was mildly imprisoned by my own debt, and it's nobody's fault but my own. I will not blame a credit card for giving it to me. I will not blame all of the things that I purchased, stuff I don't have anything to show for. That is all on me. So I was under this thumb of pressure. I had to take care of it. So the only way I knew how to take care of it is make money. And the only way you make money is you just work hard and you grind and you get the job done to try and get ahead and at least get afloat. I don't know if you'll get ahead, but at least you get afloat. Well, I worked hard enough to get ahead. here's where it turns wacky. Here's where the corner turns for me. 3 things happen all at the same time that kind of break me, but in between this and at the same exact time on another completely different track. We're on one track of realism and what's going on the day-to-day. We are working, we're making money at the 9 to 5, we're at the phone company, got our own apartment, we're paying the bills, and we're living. Hanging out with friends, taking mini vacations and getaways. Living a standard, stable life. Not too shabby. But 3 things really kind of just got to me that made me have to switch it up. First one we talked about in the last episode, that was the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy changed me. It definitely messed with me because up to this point, it was just freewheeling with money and just getting by, but still working and making some cash. So I was living and surviving, but I was swimming in that credit card debt. Had to get out of that. So there's a little bit of a stress bubble with that because, of course, the credit card companies are chasing after you. So I'm working and working and working, taking that overtime, just shutting down all sort of, wandering eyes for other things on the other side of the fence that may be more enticing to do. So there's that. I'm single. Okay, we're single now. I moved to California. I wasn't really looking for romance. It didn't really happen. Then it happened. I dated somebody for a little over a year. We are still friends to this day after 20 years. But it was one of those like 2 ships in the night moments. We sort of just dated and then it was over. So I'm kind of single now, just kind of out there. Hey, all right, what to do? Plus, I'm a stranger. I mean, we already talked about this at length, but I'm a stranger in a strange land. California is this wide open space for me, for this Midwestern guy who is just adventurous. I'm a curious kid. My parents can tell you stories. I can share with you. I mean, I can give you little examples of just curiosities that got me places and got me things that if I didn't peel back the wallpaper or ask the question or pursue it further, I would have never gotten anywhere. And one of those is the DJ morning, DJ on-air personality broadcasting pursuits. If I didn't ask the questions, if I didn't put the fishing pole in the water, I would have never caught that fish. Ever. I'd have been still working at the phone company in Milwaukee. Or I would have been, I don't know where I would have been at that point. I mean, before then, I would have been still working at Musicland or Suncoast. What? And that died. So where was I gonna go? California, obviously. That was the answer. But again, my mentality was very just, I'm Milwaukee. I must work. I must pay bills. So that's happening. And the other thing that's throwing me for a huge loop that I guess is the salad dressing on the stress salad between bankruptcy and being single and figuring out California on my own. Some help with friends, obviously, but I'm just like wandering through the desert trying to go, where am I? What am I doing out here? I'm approaching 30 years old. Oh, well, who cares? It's so young, you say. Oh, I know, 30. Baby, you're a baby at 30. Right. Sure, on paper, that seems real cute, and age ain't nothing but a number, as I will always prove. But it got to me. Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I think everything just, a culmination of everything swirling around me just got to me. And as I was approaching 30, I just had this sort of breakdown where I didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost. I didn't have direction. I felt weird about the breakup, but I didn't really we didn't break up in a bad way. It was just one of those things where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? It was just one of those check-in moments of my own psyche where I just kind of stepped back and I analyzed myself and I was like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Bah! And I went to therapy. That was my first time ever. I had I had benefits. Hey, go to therapy. What? I could actually take advantage of mental health services in the grand year of 2000? You bet. You bet. I'm going to take advantage of that because my brain was hurting. It was hurting a little bit. I did not 30 seemed like 40 to me for some reason. I felt I to this day I remember absolutely feeling like I had to get everything done by 30. That's a broad stroke, you say. Yes, I know. But it was centered on the money thing for sure. It was centered on happiness. I mean, I was working for the phone company making money and I had friends. Okay, but there was something missing. I was itching for something more, something different. I don't know what it was, but I had this pain. And I went to the therapist and I talked about it. I had, some decent conversation, let things out, and that was great. Then I had this complaint that I had to air. And it definitely started to peel the layers of the internal onion known as my brain. Because realistically, this started to make me think about me and myself and my brain and how did it work and what was my train of thought on things. And it just started it. It just was the first pull of that string to start unraveling what I went through over the next 20 years. We'll get to it. There are many more podcasts to get to. But this was the start. And I absolutely remember this like it was yesterday. I said to the therapist, I said, I feel like I give, and I never really take or get back. I'm not bitter on a level of like, why am I not getting anything back out of this or out of my giving? However, I felt like my resources were tapped. When I say give, I meant that, and I explained it to her the same way, I'm very much a doer for people. I'm a giver. How can I help you? My leg might be bleeding out. I might be injured, but I'm like, are you okay? I try to be there for people. I'm definitely the type that would give the shirt off my back to someone if they needed it. I'm not saying I'm a Samaritan. I'm not saying I'm a saint. What I'm saying is that I have this ingrained in me to be helpful to others and try to provide and be, that was also part of my, how I felt connected or needed, I guess, in a way where if I could provide something, hey, I'm coming to this party. What can I bring? Oh, you can bring A, B, and C. Great, I'll bring it. And I felt that was like how I was connected to people and how I gained some sort of like just good feelings towards myself in a way of feeling like I was being productive and being, a useful member of society. And so, I don't know, it just felt good to me to always like, how can I help? What can I do? What do you need? I'm bringing it. And I felt like there wasn't a lot of give back from friends, from the guy I was dating. There was a lot of weird, like, why am I not feeling like the love is being shared back? Again, not trying to tit for tat. There wasn't any sort of receipts I was keeping. I just didn't feel like there was that same level. And she said, in her brilliant mind and her years of experience as a therapist, said, what if one day these people that you are feeling this non-reciprocal behavior in some manner, what if they just didn't need what you were bringing to the table? Hey, we're having this party. What do you need? Can I bring something? What do you need? We don't need anything. We've got it all covered. You're good. How would you feel if they didn't need you for those things that you always just were there doing anyway? And I sat there for like 5 minutes going, yeah, how would I feel? And it hit me. I said, I'd feel useless, or I'd feel like I didn't have any worth. And she goes, by the notion that you do all these things for these people, how do you think they feel? Wow, that one popped me right in the head. I was like, oh, by continually doing everything for everybody all the time and like, I got it. You're not allowing people to feel like they have their own worth. You're not allowing people to handle it and feel their own empowered. You're just taking care of it for them. You're just doing it. Whoa, that one hit me. Oh, I had to dial back. I had to be like, okay, we're not doing anything for anybody. Okay, I didn't go that extreme. But I was like, whoa, okay, wow. I had to sit on that one for a while. And I did. It was rough. It was a rough couple years getting into California and adjusting to this crazy wild world around me. And it wasn't just the language barriers or the culture. It wasn't any of that. In fact, I was soaking that in like a sponge. I was dipping my bread in that au jus going, tell me more about these things that happen out here in California that I have never heard of in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in my life, ever. Tell me more about these different holidays. Tell me more about these different celebrations and cultures and where people are from and all that. It was just like more. So that was going great. So on another track, we've got that. We've got this culture soak, right? So on the bad track, we're dealing with all this stress and money and not feeling like I don't know why I'm here. What am I doing? I'm lost. Other track, loving it. California, weather, soaking it in. We're soaking in everything around me. Food, culture, people, more different people. It was great. And we're in California. This is where things start to get fun. I don't remember how and what day and what specifically spawned me to do this. But as I've said, I'm a curious child. I'm a curious boy, just figuring it out. I believe the earliest analogy of me was in Leave It to Beaver Land. If you remember Leave It to Beaver, if you look it up, very nuclear family household, it's mom and dad and 2 sons. Well, that is exactly our family structure. Mom and dad, I had an older brother, that was the Tony Dow, and I was Beaver. And if you remember Beaver, he was always getting into trouble because he was curious. He was like putting his head through fences and getting caught because he was like, oh, I can't get back. I wonder if my head will fit through this fence. Oh no, now the fire department has to show up. Good job, that's me. I'm apparently that kid. And I'm I'm a knowledge sponge. I just like to know things. I like to learn. I'm still, I've said this before in other podcasts, always be learning. Always be learning. Learn what's going on around you. Just soak it, even if you don't like it, even if it doesn't pertain to you, even if it doesn't affect you. Soak it in. Maybe it does affect you. Maybe it will one day. You never know. I'm not saying you have to soak in everything. I mean, the brain can only process so much, right? I mean, it can only store, it only has so many terabytes before it's like, okay, I can't take another language. But at the same time, as just an average human being walking the earth, trying to live and survive, California was wild. So one day, I remember I loved that they had this thing called the LA Weekly. It reminded me of the Milwaukee local, rag on the side, the east side of Milwaukee and the college areas. They always had like local fun stuff. It was just like a trade paper kind of thing. And out here they had the LA Weekly, which is very famous and very big. And it was, this weekly newspaper they had free on the corners, just boxes, just grab your LA Weekly. And it was this thick, local Los Angeles, what's going on? What's the scene, man? And in the back was a ton of classified ads for all sorts of things. Obviously, jobs, personal services, massages, auditions, acting, all sorts of California Hollywood things that I have never seen before in want ads. Up to this point, it was industry, factory, secretary jobs, work the restaurant. There was no, hey, wanna, become an actor? Hey, do you wanna learn, acting and singing and dancing and all these entertainment level things? What? What do you mean? All right, I'm in California. This isn't Wisconsin anymore. That's what happens out here, right? We talked about California being on television. Well, buckle up. Here comes television. I'm here. What's going on? And if you really, this is why I say, go back and listen. Go back and listen to the previous podcasts. Because if you step back and do a quick analysis, you can see where it's going. I wanted to be an on-air morning show DJ before I even knew that there was broadcasting school. I wanted to be a pro wrestler before I got out of high school. I wanted to be just jobs that do not exist, but they are in the entertainment field. I got a job doing on-air broadcasting and radio. Hey, Milwaukee, I'm on air. How you doing? It felt natural to entertain people, but I didn't know that's what I was itching to do. I was just out there. I'm getting up on Pride Fest stages in full drag before the age of 30 and ripping my top off and being a wackadoodle and just having this energy to entertain. And I brought this up before with my best friend from Milwaukee at the time, Steve. He, my sister said, hey, there's this energy in you. You got to do something with it, kid. Get out of Milwaukee. Here we are. And all of a sudden, I'm flipping through the pages of the LA Weekly and the LA Times, and I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And I see game show auditions. What? Another curious, weird job that I wanted as a child was game show host. Why? Because I lived through that golden era of game shows in the late 70s and early 80s with Match Game and Family Feud and Pyramid and all of the Bill Cullens and the Dick Clarks and the all of the Gene Rayburn's and the Chuck Woolery's and the Pat Sajaks and the Alex Trebeks. Again, another set of heroes for me. I didn't worship the local firemen. I didn't worship, I worshiped some baseball players, but I wasn't athletic. So I just went, there was this worship and this admiration for people in the media in this way of acting and performing. It could be easy, in that era of big actors and 80s and all that. I wasn't into the A-list actors. I was into, as you said, the Rick D's, the Casey Kasems. And then, we're getting into moving forward into other ventures and other weird jobs I want to do. This is game show host, of course. Bob Barker. Price is Right as a staple. Especially during sick days. We know all about that. Come on, spin that wheel. I still want to get on that game show. But we haven't gotten there yet. We're about to get on my first game show. Now, you say, well, why is this part of your jobs? Why would you talk about getting on a game show when you're speaking or talking specifically about new job, who dis, and your job history? Well, this is the spark of what turns into a career down the line. Trust me, kids, this is where it begins. I get an audition, and I couldn't tell you to this day how I auditioned. I remember vaguely that there was some sort of online quiz or some sort of quiz I had to take in person. I remember having to show up and take a quiz. In fact, that was it. I had to actually show up somewhere and take a quiz. It's all coming. See, I tell you, it's all coming back as I speak upon it. My brain goes, psst, that's what you did. Oh, right. So I auditioned for this game show that was hot at the time, and I thought, why not? I may not be able to become a game show host, but I might as well try getting on a game show because I'm out here exploring. I mean, this is the fun side of being in California the first few years is, hey, what's around here? What's this? What's in that bush over there? I'm going to taste those snozberries. Why not? Curious kid, get out there and try it. So I auditioned and tried out for Greed. For those who cannot remember what Greed is or was, it was on Fox. It was essentially Group Millionaire with multiple choices. It was hosted by Chuck Woolery, and it was this game of, here's a perfect question. Name 4 of the, we're going to give you 6 of the highest selling Swanson frozen meals. You and your team have to tell us the top 4. And then you all have to give an answer on your group. So, Steve, what do you think? Well, I think it's, chicken and mashed potatoes, fried chicken. You got it. Ding, right? And then they, test each one. And of course you get 3 right. And then it becomes the nail biter because you have this 4th one you got to figure out and the pressure's on and you have all these saves. You want a team effort. You want to ask the audience. It was all this, again, Group Millionaire. It was the same kind of thing. But then there were eliminations as well. So the closer it got to the end of the $2 million, by the way, not just $1 million, $2 million, there were like elimination rounds where you could eliminate people off of the team or save them, depending. And, if you were greedy and you wanted to win it all, then you had to answer most of it all yourself. It was just this bananas game. I thought, why not? I loved Chuck Woolery when he was on Wheel of Fortune and on Scrabble and then on Hollywood Squares. Chuck, 2 and 2, come on, let's do this. I'm ready to get on this game show. And I got on the game show. Holy smokes, what? I got on a game show? Come on, Mom. Look at me, I'm going to be on Fox TV. Hey, everybody back in Wisconsin. Your boy is going to be on TV. And that was like year 1, by the way. 2001, I think I got right on it. Right when I got to LA. It was within like the first year. What? First shot and you're suddenly on a game show? Well, I'm pretty sure it's because I was fresh out of the Midwest. And I'm sure the casting people were like, who's this goofball from Milwaukee? I can tell you're from Milwaukee. You look like you just got... So, yeah. And sad to say, spoiler alert, I did not win. In fact, I got eliminated right away on the show. But here's the way it works is you start the game with 6 people and they ask a multiple choice question or a percentage question. Like how many, and I'll never forget my question. My question was, how many people, according to a U.S. News and World Report poll or survey, believe that there is a hell in the United States? And I think I went high. I went 85 for some reason. Don't use the law of averages. Don't go 2/3. Don't go 66, which I think the answer was like 64. But I went way high. I went 85 because I was raised Roman Catholic. Worldview. What am I? And then for some reason, this is how nail biter it was. They start going to line. Well, who's the closest to 64? All right, Amy, you're 66. Great. Oh, Steve, you're 72. Great. Oh, Mike, you're 75. Great. Who's left? A 3-way tie between these 3 guys. What? Well, who timed in the fastest? All right, Adam, you go. All right, and? All right, Dave, you get to go. Bob, sorry, you're gone. And I literally talk about torture. I had to sit on the sidelines watching the team play this game while sitting next to the box filled with $2 million and a security guard. So I could have really been watching somebody win $2 million in front of my face after I'd been eliminated within like 2 minutes. Over before it started. It's terrible. But here's what it sparked. Here's what that moment of loss and humility brought out in me. Well, if I got on one, why couldn't I get on another? Well, that was the first thing I thought. Well, can I get on another one? If I got this one, there must be something right. There's got to be they saw something in me once. try it again. Who knows, right? Shake the dice. Then the other thing I thought of was look around you. This is the first time you've ever in your life seen a real Hollywood studio. Wow. This place is smaller than it looks on TV. Wow, those cameras are huge. Wow, Chuck's wearing a lot of makeup. Wow, they have like these holding rooms, and then there's the studio, and then there's these risers, and this is all just built and soaking it in like a sponge. What is this set? And real talk, as a young child, half of my fascinations with game shows was the cool, groovy sets and the pieces and the giant fuzzy dice you got to shake and all the accoutrements that come with a game show. In fact, I have to start looking for that now, where I have to start looking for game show props that exist out on the internet in auction form, because I would love, a giant pair of fuzzy dice from the game show High Rollers, things like that. So I was just in this studio awestruck, because I'm standing within 20 feet of Chuck Woolery. I didn't get to meet him, didn't get to shake his hand. Oh, good luck, Bob. No, it didn't happen. He was busy being Chuck Woolery. And the game went on, and then it was all done. They shuffled you out. They're like, get out of our studio, go home, we're done. All this stuff, paperwork, oh yeah, legalities, all this stuff. I was like, wow, this is soaking it in like a sponge. Just like, hi, I'm from the Midwest. What is all of this? It's exciting. It's exciting. And it's even more exciting for my family back home. What? Hollywood? You're in Hollywood? You're doing Hollywood things? Getting on game shows? What is this? That's how the difference in viewpoint is. For years, a little bit still to this day, I go home and people are riveted with my Hollywood life. And back then, it was just working at the phone company. I didn't have a Hollywood life. People were like fascinated. What's in California? Tell me all about it. I'm like, there's so much to tell. Where do I begin? I could begin by telling how I got to the city and didn't know Spanish because I took German in high school. And so I was like, what's Sepulveda and La Jolla? Yeah, that's me. Hello. That tells you everything you need to know. I had no idea. So yeah, game shows. Game shows. What? What is odd? I got in. They must have liked me. Well, what is that about? I don't know. To be determined. Well, it's not over before I, take the next step. But here's what else happens. I'm living in California, living this Midwestern workaholic life. Cleared my bankruptcy. It's 2001, 2002 area right now. What's a boy to do who still seems to have some sort of entertainment itch? Clawing at the back of his head, somewhere in the back of his ear or something. Something's itching. Something's happening. What am I getting into? What do I need to do? I don't know. I'm not an actor. Didn't sign up to act. I was in one theater production in 8th grade as a chorus member in No No Nanette. I took acting in college, got some stuff out of that. Obviously was on radio, knew how to at least play with my voice, knew how to work and talk about things and describe them better and, enunciate, speak. I knew how to use words. But I wasn't looking to be actor. And of course, you're stuck with that Midwestern stereotype that I'm not chiseled chin, clean shaven, beauty, face, model. No, I'm none of that. I'm a schlub. But then I'm learning. I'm out here. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. That's right. Chubby people can get acting jobs too. Average people have that guy roles in Hollywood too. Oh, wow. Hey. Oh, well, that puts a little hope into the pocket. Maybe it's not so treacherous for us full-figured gals. Who knows what's going on out here, LA? But I'm kind of on my back. Single, not really doing much, hanging out with friends, spending money I didn't have, bankrupting out of that money I didn't have. maybe spending some more money I didn't have. I didn't know what I was doing again. I'm just kind of there. Feels good. I'm riding my bike, hanging out with people, dating, not really dating, just kind of being there until one day I can paint the picture in my head just like it happened yesterday. I opened up my mailbox and this was probably late 2001. I open up my mailbox and there is a flyer from the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Center, the LGBT Center. And there's two centers out here. There's the main center and then there's like the annex. It's just a little bit south of where the main center is in Hollywood, California. And at the time where that was for me, it was about 5 miles away. Somehow I got on their mailing list. I don't remember ever going there. I don't remember signing. Who knows? I don't know how I did, but somehow they sent me one. It was just, local happenings at the center, resources, numbers to call. This is what's new. Hey, we're having these groups, therapy, all this resource. And then on the back where the annex part was talked about was all this learning, this higher learning, this other learning is the learning annex. Hey, want to learn some things? And it was random stuff. It was everything from learning how to learn Excel on your computer, learn Photoshop tricks. It was learn how to do your taxes, accounting 101. Hey, want to learn about houseplants? We've got a class about that too. It was just remedial adult education. But it was also, to advance yourself. It wasn't just like, hey, learn pottery. It was, again, how to pay your bills, how to deal with relationships, how to deal with, partners who are HIV positive. And there were so many therapy groups in there as well. But they also had entertainment. What? Entertainment? Voiceover classes. Okay, that's cool. Acting classes. That makes sense. Yeah, Hollywood acting. Stand-up comedy class 101 with Adam Barnhart. Record scratch. What? Wait a minute. You're telling me you can go to a school and learn stand-up comedy? Hold up, wait a minute. Now, you got to understand, once again, Midwestern mentality. I grew up, controversy time, here we go. Buckle up, kids. I grew up worshiping, idolizing, and laughing my childhood reared face up to the one and only Bill Cosby. Of course, the era I lived in was Bill Cosby, late 70s, early 80s. That was a prime stand-up time for a lot of people, but Bill Cosby did the 60s and the 70s. It was just huge and he did that Bill Cosby himself special on HBO, and then he had the Cosby Show, and it was Pudding Pops, and it was Cosby. My parents had all of his vinyl. I still have some of his vinyl comedy albums. Gold to me as a kid, right? Obviously a different story here in 2020. Yes, we know. But you have to understand, Bill Cosby wasn't that back then. Bill Cosby was America's favorite dad. He was safe comedy. He didn't swear. And when he did, it was like, what? It had impact. So growing up, I was like, wow, that would be fun. But I always thought you just had to be funny somehow. You had to be that guy who could just tell jokes at the bar, or you had to be the funny guy and your friends. I don't know. I wasn't that funny guy. I tried, but I wasn't like purposely going on my way to be funny. I was just, I don't know, just didn't exist. Eddie Murphy, also huge influence to this, because grew up, Eddie Murphy's Comedian and Delirious on HBO was just, that album, mind-bending to me. That was my up-and-coming album. It was the time, the era, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old was prime Eddie Murphy. So yeah, stand-up comedy. I felt it. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what to do with it. I had no idea that you could actually just learn it. I thought it was just this natural born gift that you just were that funny guy or funny girl and you just learn how to tell great jokes and you had stories. Well, when you're a young kid, you don't have a lot of stories to tell. That's why Eddie Murphy once famously told those stand-up jokes about, when I was a little kid and I was trying to be a stand-up comic, I'd be like, does anybody ever take a poop? It's like, you just talk about what you know. And at that time, all I knew was poop jokes. And yes, I'm censoring that. So we're keeping it clean for the kids, darlings. So yeah, there was, again, another job on the weird list that as a child, I was like, that'd be fun, but it's not a tangible job that I was in Milwaukee. Once again, growing up, what is that? How do you go to stand-up comedy school in Milwaukee? Maybe there was one, maybe comedy sports, maybe some sort of school, who knows? But boy, when it's staring right in front of you, you're like, wait, I can learn about this and do this? You got to be kidding me. And the curious child in me just started spinning. Now, it was also enhanced by the fact that I'd recently seen a terrible stand-up act. Nay, in the last 5 years, I'd seen 2 terrible stand-up acts in person. And I remember absolutely saying to myself, 100%, I could go to my grave remembering sitting there watching these stand-up acts going, I could do better than that. I could do this. If this is what stand-up comedy is, I know I can do better than that. Because this person ain't funny. This guy and this gal, there was 2 separate instances where I went to an event and they had a paid entertainment and they were stand-up comics. And it was awful to me. But listen, other people were laughing. Yes, they had a mixed reaction. But for the most part, my brain went, no, come on. Because they weren't killing it. There were some groans. There were some dead airs. There were definitely some enough already's. So yeah, I watched that and I was under my chair going, this is terrible. But I know there's something in me that says, how do you do better than that? How do I become a stand-up comic? I'm working for the phone company. I'm a Midwestern schlub. What do I got to offer in the stand-up world? Now, also, I was raised in that classic HBO 80s stand-up era, too. So I was completely soaking in stand-up culture, at least from what I saw on television. So all of this put together, and knowing that I was at these events, and again, these events were actually gay bear events. Oh, yeah. I was there at these shows, and I was like, the humor was just like, what? How many more sex jokes can you make that are just not, it's just not, we get it, okay, ha, tops, ha ha ha, funny, and it just became like, how many cheap pops can I get off of really just, you might as well have just stood on the stage and just said, sex, and people were like, ha ha ha, it was so shooting fish in the barrel to me that I was like, you gotta be smarter than this. There's a better way. There's got to be. Come on. If these people are getting paid to stand up in front of these guys and just say these things and they're getting at least a 50% reaction, shoot high, aim low, Halston body. What do you got to lose, right? That's a recurring theme. What do you got to lose? You got nothing to lose. Try it. You might like it. Curiosity. That's how it is. And that's where it's going to be. So I get this flyer, I look at this and I'm like, wait, I gotta do this. I gotta take this class. I gotta do it. And I did it. Paid the money. I think it was $75. Adam Barnhart. Look him up. He's a gay stand-up comic. I still, in fact, I'm looking at it from here. You can't, on the podcast, you can't see this, but I'm within arm's reach of I found in my memory box, I found his original, instructions and some of his work on how to do stand-up, how to write jokes, how to set up and punch, how to do all those things, the rule of threes, all the tricks of the trade, darling. It was so wild. And for $75, this wasn't some college course that I paid thousands of dollars, $75. Just had to show up on a Wednesday night every week for, I don't even remember how many weeks it was, maybe 20 weeks. It was a long time. It wasn't just 5 weeks, you're out. It was It took a few weeks. Maybe, honestly, I would say six months at most, but maybe 12 weeks. Maybe it was a 3 month course because I don't remember it being super crazy, but it wasn't a quick course. You had to go through some things and explore yourself. And I tried, but I was stifled. I was still stifled. I took this class, a lot of actors and actresses showing up. I felt like I was one of maybe two people that was purely there to work as a stand-up comic. I was like, well, I'm going to try this. I'm working. The bills are being paid. Why not try this? What do you got to lose? I don't know where it's going to go. I don't even know how much stand-ups can make at this point. I have no career counseling to guide me as to why I should do this as the next career choice. And it wasn't even a career choice. It was just kind of like maybe this will become a hobby job. Maybe I just want to learn it just to learn it. I've done that before. Side note, when I moved to Los Angeles, the guy I dated, Alan, he was connected to the Magic Castle out here. Yes, it's a big castle on a hill in Hollywood. Very touristy and fun, but locals love it too. And it's all magicians. It's a big magic house and performance house. It's great. I took magic lessons there because I was curious. I liked magic. I loved little table magic, card magic, coin magic. I was like, wait, they teach this? I'm taking the course. And I didn't want to become a magician. That wasn't the point. I wasn't trying. That's it. I'm going to become a magician. Watch this. That wasn't the point. The point was I wanted to learn how magic worked. And I did. And it was great. I loved it. I can still do some wacky tricks to this day, but I'm not a magician. That's not what I was aiming to be. And so that's kind of how I was treating this stand-up thing. It was like curiosity in a way where I was like, wait, you can learn this? I want to learn it. I want to know how to do stand-up. And I took this class and I started to learn stuff about myself. The first thing was that I was on it. I had no idea that this would have came out of me. But I'm this husky, chubby guy with facial hair. I'm connected to the LGBT gay bears of Southern California and Bears Ventura and all this Southern California gay bear activity. Beardy white dudes and Latino dudes of SoCal, mostly. Hanging out with them. And as I'm doing my stand-up, they talk about you and talk about yourself. Well, I got caught not talking about the fact that I looked like a bear. And I remember my instructor, Adam, he was like, "You're a bear." Because I was trying to describe myself as this. I didn't know what I was. I just kind of was there and I wasn't dating anybody. I was hemming and hawing about trying to, because that was one of the exercises. It was just like, talk about you and who you're about and how to describe it. It was all that, like, get it out of yourself, break free, break down. You gotta tap into who you are to share with others and figure out who you are. And I remember hemming and hawing and trying to hesitate and dance around the fact that I just kind of was like, not just saying that I was this bear, because everyone had I'm a twink and I'm a lesbian and I'm a dyke and all these categories. And I was like, man, they're like, you're a bear. I was like, oh boy. Okay, I guess I'm a bear. And there it was, I guess. I was growing into my own facial hair, I guess. I don't know. And I was just a husky kid. So they just threw me in the sandbox of bears taking stand-up comedy. And the end game, this is the cool part. This was the carrot at the end of the stick for being in this comedy class, was at the end of it, you got to perform at the legendary Comedy Store in Los Angeles. What? The famous Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore, Pauly Shore. The list could go on for hours, but the Mitzi Shore owned it, and Pauly Shore was a big fan. All that culture, I knew about this. I've heard of the Comedy Store. The fact that you got a free pass by just taking this class to perform at least once at the Comedy Store, shut the front door. Are you kidding me? I'm in. So I take the class, and I'm taking it seriously. I started to notice immediately that a lot of these actors and actresses weren't taking it seriously. They were just taking it because it was just, they weren't sure of themselves either. I could tell there was a lot of uncertainty and insecurity, but I was showing it myself. I had some jokes. I had some things I started to write. It wasn't a lot about myself per se. I mean, it was about things and stuff, but I didn't, let me tell you about my family. They're crazy. Like, I didn't have any of that, like, balled up and ready to go. I remember, starting to write jokes. I wrote a joke about how I felt like early on, right off the bat, I was like, well, I'm kind of observant. I try to pay attention to things. And I found observational humor very good. So I started to observe, and I started to soak in things to try and see if I could come up with something funny about it. And what I remember, one of the first jokes I talked about was that I noticed a bag in a 7-Eleven of Frito-Lay's Munchies, but one better, it was Munchies for kids. If anybody knows what Munchies are, I didn't realize that we were marketing Munchies for, hey kids, toke up, and here comes some Captain Crunch. It was basically centered around that, like the fact that there was stoner food for children. So it was just basic observational humor to just start. I didn't have a focus. I didn't have a direction. I didn't have I'm this kind of comic. And to mind you, this is the Gay and Lesbian Center, and this is a gay stand-up comic teaching us to be wacky and out of the box. But he didn't teach us to be gay and lesbian comics. He didn't say this is what you're going to be doing Pride because this is the type of comedy you're doing because you're learning it in a gay and lesbian center and an LGBT center and you're learning it from a gay comic. That was not on the plate. Oh no. No. That was not at all on the plate in 2001. Going into 2002, I was just like, I'm trying to just tell jokes and be funny. I don't know what I'm doing. Still working though. Let us not forget the mantra of keep your day job is in play. Because I wasn't looking at it as, here's my next career. I'm doing it. This is it. Career, job, money, fame, fortune. Had no clue. I just wanted to do it, to see if I could do it. Sure, there was this weird lofty goal of performing at a bear event. But that wasn't even tangible at that point. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to book it. There were 20 steps ahead, darlings. 20 steps ahead. I'm just trying to first even tell a joke. Get up on stage and stand in front of a microphone and learn how to hold it and stand properly and not fidget and do weird things and make sure you're paying attention to who you are on stage while you're on stage. How weird is that? But that's what I had to learn. And that, my friends, is the spark. That is the spark of what becomes an eventual 8 to 9 year stand-up comedy career. Oh yeah. Oh, it became a thing. But we're just getting started. I had to lead you up to it. I had to get you to the water because now we're about to drink. If you can only understand, I've been in California for less than 2 years. I've been on a game show already. I'm paying off by filing a bankruptcy and dealing with a lawyer. I'm turning 30 soon. I'm dating and breaking up with somebody. I'm gaining all these bear friends and traveling to San Francisco and meeting all these random people. And so, like, hello, California, bring me all of your sushi and off and running we are going. And the trips and the homesickness back home was just diminishing day by day, minute by minute. Still there a little bit, still got that, oh, I miss those holidays. Oh, I miss my family. Oh, I miss the safety and comfort of some friends that I knew back then. But boy, were the pages turning fast. We're not even 2 years into California, and this is what's happening. And it's happening. And I love it. And oh my gosh, why is this a thing? Well, buckle up, Bippies, because guess what? in the next episode, we're going to start unraveling my folds into the comedy career. We're going to start painting the canvas as to how did I get to this crazy life that I didn't ever, if you would have asked me 5 years prior, 3 years prior, 2 years prior, this is what I'd be starting to do when I moved to California without any sort of knowledge, I would have thought you were crazy. But somehow I'm here just being a working stiff, but now I'm tasting a little bit of that entertainment bug that's somewhere in me. It's getting scratched just the right place. And stand-up comedy is about to start. So tune in on Friday. Yes, we're going to wrap it up a little. I know I could go on for another 3 hours, but we're going to split this up because the comedy game is about to begin, and you need to hear the adventures and the ups and downs and the OMG moments that I went through. And at the same time, we're going to kind of flip-flop back and forth between that and the jobs I was holding down while I tried to succeed and break through and make it somehow as a stand-up comic in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much for listening once again to New Job Who Dis. My 10 listeners, bless you, love you. I'm sending you love through the microphone, darlings. You're the best. Stick around. There's so much more to get through. If you are just joining us, once again, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please like. Please share. Please, hey, DM me. Austin, man, I just listened to episode 14. I got to tell you. Tell me those things. I love hearing stories like that. So, once again, please get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean. Find me on YouTube at Halston Body. Please subscribe. I say it every time. I'll say it again. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell everyone that this has been New Job Who Dis?